Well, hello, Justin. Hello, Clifford. Very
Hi
nice to meet
there.
you guys.
Hey,
Nice to
likewise.
meet
Thank
you.
you.
My name is Steve Rusky. I'm a contributor with LRM Online. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to do this today.
Happy to.
I've got some My Hero questions for you, so I appreciate you taking the time to nerd out with me.
Great.
For sure.
So first question, I'm going to ask you guys to go back a few years, and I'm just curious to know, how did you guys feel in that initial casting when you guys got the roles of Deku and Bakugo respectively? And did you guys know what you were in for a few years later, how popular everything's gotten and it's really blown up?
Yeah, I mean, first to answer, I guess the second part, there's no way I could have predicted what just a phenomenon it's become, which is amazing and really speaks to like the quality of the work. So I think that's great. But as far as my beginnings with the show, basically like I had a regular audition as far as auditions go, and then I didn't hear anything, so I just sort of figured, well, that's that's show business, right? But then I did eventually get called in to start laying some stuff down, and it's just unbelievable. Like I had already started to resonate with these characters in this story a little bit just by seeing what was out there, like manga wise or for the anime. And so I was just really excited to be helping to tell this really amazing story.
Awesome.
Yeah, and pretty much the same for me is, we'd kind of heard the rumblings about this show, and there was a lot of initial hype before it had even happened. And I remember like looking up the like Wikipedia about it and trying to read about the show and figure out like what it was and I mean back then there was so little, like there were a few volumes of the manga out, but not very much, and so it was kind of hard to have a sense about it. But people kept saying like this is gonna be a really big show, and so it was exciting to be cast in it. And we recorded the first season and it was popular, but it wasn't really until the second season where like it suddenly exploded with like how big it had gotten. And I think that was the moment where we were like, oh wow, this actually is something really exciting and big. Like you're always excited to be in a show and to be a part of something, but like it wasn't really, I felt like it wasn't really until season 2 that I was like, oh man, this actually is like a really big thing.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was cool to see it suddenly amp up in popularity and just to continue to watch that roller coaster rise.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And just as a follow-up to that, are you guys fans of the manga now? I mean, I know there's there's a lot of spoilers in there if you're caught up with it, but do you guys read it now that you've been playing the roles for a few years and to kind of prepare for each season as they come, or?
I don't run to read every chapter as quickly as I maybe used to, but I try to keep up with it just to because I'm like aside from being involved in the production, I'm a fan of the work, so I just like kind of seeing where things are headed naturally. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Clifford, how about you?
I don't read the manga. It's just one of those sorts of things that I kind of want to live in the moment of it. That said, the fan base is always very excited to tell me if something really cool happens. So I usually have a little bit of a sense of like, oh, I get to do something cool sometime, So I kind of, which I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with knowing like, oh, there's gonna be something really cool, but I don't want to know exactly what it is just yet. I want to feel it in that moment. So.
Absolutely. Totally understandable. So then moving on to the film Heroes Rising. I'm just curious to know, was there a difference in recording for a film, a full-length feature film versus just an episode of My Hero Academia? What was that experience like for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. It had differences in a few ways. The first being that we had to get it done very quickly, so that a lot of us had to do our homework and just be ready and totally present when the time came. And really, they made some magic happen, which is incredible. So aside from that, it's just sort of the pace of the storytelling is very different. You see the anime classified into arcs very often, so you get whole swaths of time where you may not even see a certain character for a moment. They're off doing their own thing. But in the movie, everyone kind of gets their shot, their time in the sun, and the way that it builds up to that climactic moment, just in the narrative sense is different and exciting, because you have to make sure that you are kind of going up that roller coaster in the same way, and not giving it all away at once.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And yeah, like Justin says, I mean, for the most part, the general process was the same, but even still, you know, we normally have a week to produce a single episode, you know, 24 minutes of content. We essentially had like a week and a half to do this almost 2 hour movie,
Oh wow.
Which is really crazy, just to think about the scale of that. I mean, the amount of recording we had, you know, it's almost like 4 or 5 episodes worth of time. And we actually split the recording between recording in Funimation Studios proper, and then also recording at Okratron, which is where they dub a bunch of other properties, and work on a bunch of various other things. And so like there were some days I would record a little bit in the morning at Funimation, and then I would drive to Okratron in the evening and record more of it in the evening, just to keep getting further with it, because we had such a tight window to squeeze the production of it into.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine. That's great. So diving into the film a little bit more, without spoiling too much here for our readers, but and our viewers, Deku and Bakugo's relationship seemed to be really developed in this one, and I'm speaking, of course, to a very pivotal moment that happens in the film. And without spoiling that moment, could you guys speak to whether or not you think this will see any impact in season 5 or moving forward, the relationship between Deku and Bakugo?
I definitely see it progressing. You know, already even in the anime, you can see that they've sort of both cooled off to each other. Now that a lot of their secrets are out in the open, they're finally able to grow and sort of heal from that. But you know, I think what really is on display in the film that I'd like to see more of is trust. They both we see them trust each other, and compensate for each other's strengths and weaknesses together. So they know each other so well. They've been through so much together that now this bond and this trust exists between them. And I'd like to see that more explored.
Yeah, I think if we're going to see anything, because Heroes Rising is set a little bit further in the timeline. We knew it was set after season 4. I think it's actually set probably a little bit further even into season 5, if I understand the general concept of like what fans have kind of told me. I would almost assume that what we're going to see more readily will be the characters developing up to that point, or at least I hope so. That's what I'm most eager to. That's what I personally am most eager to like get to explore, is getting to the point that we see in Heroes Rising, which was so monumental and amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of leads into my next question, and is to whether or not you guys consider the films, both the first and this new one, as part of the official canon. I mean, it could easily, you know, I've seen a lot of discussions online where fans discuss, you know, can put this right into the film's timeline. Do you guys consider it? And if not, I mean, do you kind of consider it yourself to be canon?
I'd say I'm far from the arbiter of that, but I mean, what I like about the films is that they take some care to put it into a context of the timeline of the show. Not that it necessarily means anything, but as a fan going in and getting to see it, you at least get the sense of where, when this could be happening. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I completely agree. You know, the first film has a nice little like pocket of time that it just sort of like falls into, and so while the events may not be integral to the overall story, like, you know, where it could happen, and in the case of Heroes Rising, we don't know necessarily yet within the confines of the anime where that might slot in, but despite that, I don't think that the impact or the importance of the moments are lost, whether the movie is necessarily official canon or, you know, anime canon or sub canon or whatever you want to say it. I think regardless of it, the impact of all the things that happen in the film and those moments between Bakugo and Deku, like they hit so hard that I almost feel like it's regardless of canon, like I'm totally there for it. So
Absolutely, absolutely, Clifford. I'm right there with you. I don't pay too much attention to the canon. It's about how good it was, the content is, and you guys both gave excellent performances in the film. I was lucky enough to have the chance to watch it, and yeah, I'm really excited to see its impact in season 5. Speaking of season 5, Clifford, you kind of touched on this a little bit already, but what are you guys kind of looking forward to? Is there anything fans can expect? Anything you can tell us about where it's kind of headed?
I mean, my favorite parts of the show are always seeing how the students train their quirks and what new like techniques they add to their roster. So I'm hoping for more of that. There's always like you see a big villain arc and then there's a character development arc, and I'm hoping to get some of that soon.
Yeah.
I'm in the same. I mean, all I know at this point right now is that Bakugo is finally going to get to wear his winter outfit, and I've been looking forward to it. So I'm finally excited to see what this arc is, because it's Bakugo, at least Bakugo's first like major redesign since the show has began. His costume hasn't changed, so for him to get a wardrobe change is that makes me excited to see like what's going to happen, what's going to cause it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's almost a reflection of the change of the characters going through themselves, which is excellent. Always glad to see that.
Yeah.
So then, a few more questions before we wrap up. I wanted to ask you guys, how does, being a part of this team, creating this awesome product and property for people, My Hero Academia, how does it compare to other roles you guys have had? Could you speak to that?
Well, sure. I don't really love to play favorites with roles that I play. I really enjoy getting to work at any time, and I find little parts of myself in all these characters, or they help me discover something about myself. But I think what sets my hero experience apart from others' shows per se is how it's allowed me to go and interact with folks who are super passionate about the source material and the characters and the story. And I get to have a lot of great conversations about how it's impacted their lives in like really meaningful ways. So I think that it's great that not only anime, just as in general, is kind of a pop culture sensation again, but this show in particular is inspiring some real personal growth and change. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'll kind of end with a fun one here. If each Deku or Bakugo could give a sort of brief monologue on this COVID-19 pandemic, what would they say to the pandemic and the virus? Or how would they kind of take on that sort of villain?
Right now, I think the heroic thing to do is do whatever is in your power to keep the people around you safe. And I know that's maybe not a whole lot of fun right now, but the more folks that you save and keep healthy by keeping yourself healthy is the really responsible thing to do, I think.
Yeah, completely agree. Just selflessness of sometimes it sucks. You gotta rein it in, but there's a greater good that you have to work towards, and we all have to make a little bit of a sacrifice to get through these times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope you guys are staying safe. Appreciate you taking the time today. Again, you guys did an amazing job in Heroes Rising, and I know you will continue to do so when season 5 comes out. I believe it's set for April, at least the sub to come out. So hopefully we'll see the dub soon after.
Yeah, hopefully.